Hey everyone, so in this video demo, this is for my color theory class as well as for just my painting classes in general. So I'm going over the sphere. So I know in my color theory class that's what we're going to be doing today. So in this demo, I just want to talk about how I transferred the image, as well as just mixing up my paint, and just you're going to see how I can get started on doing a gradation sphere. So those of you guys that are in my color theory class, you have a handout like this where I already drawn out the sphere. You already have numbers layered for you, of where to put your values. So you're gonna print this out, and then once it's printed out, you're gonna flip it over and you're gonna put graphite. Just take a graphite pencil and then you're just gonna rub graphite on the back of it. You just want to make sure you cover the surface to where you want to transfer. So once you have the graphite on the back, then you want to place the transfer down, and then you want to take, if you can and if you have it, you want to take either a red pen or a colored pen. It could be blue, just something different from the black. And if you don't have it, black is just going to have to work. Just make sure that when you use the ballpoint pen, you know what you just transferred. So I don't know if you can see, but I have tape on the ends of my paper. So you want to tape it down to your panel, and then you want to leave the bottom the way that it is. That way it's taped down, and you can just go ahead and flip it up and check and make sure that things are transferring properly. So that's how I did the transfer. So I transferred over the sphere, and I also transferred over my shadow edge, which is where it's basically your terminator, shadow edge, bed bug line, but it's basically where the form turns away from light. So everything on this side is going to be in shadow. I also transferred over my cast shadow. We're going to need that. That's very important. So because this is a gradation sphere, I know in my color theory class, you guys are going to do the bands for this assignment, as well as you're going to do a gradation sphere as well. So this video, don't go over the bands, but you guys will get a step-by-step on the bands. So once you have your drawing transferred to your panel, and once again, I only transferred over the sphere, I transferred over that shadow edge and also the cast shadow. I also threw in a table ground line. That way I know where my table is, as well as I know where my background or wall is, if you want to call it that. So I already pre-mixed all 9 values, as you can see. So I have my little wet paper towel here just to keep my acrylic paints as wet as possible. I do have a spritz bottle that's here, just to keep spraying it with water, just to keep it wet so it doesn't dry on me. Another thing that I'm going to use is I'm going to use gloss medium, and I just want to thin out the paint, and I just don't want to use water, but you can thin out the paint with water as well. So the first thing that I want to do, I want to get out a paintbrush. I'm going to wet my paintbrush. So these are the materials that you're definitely going to need. You need either your watercolor paper, and it needs to be primed and or gessoed, primed gray. You also going to need you're going to need a pencil. You're also going to need your paintbrushes, and you're going to need your acrylic paint and your palette. And if you have gloss medium, you're going to need the gloss medium as well. So I'm just dipping my paintbrush into some water, and I'm going to put this acrylic medium on my palette. It's slowly coming out. It's like, come on out, squeeze out. So, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. So it has kind of a weird white, creamy, milky, more milky than anything, texture to it. So the palette I'm working on is glass, and I know some of you guys have disposable paper palette, and it should be a gray palette. So what I want to do first is I want to block out my shadow mask and get some type of idea in the background. So I'm coming in with a bit of a underpainting, but it's a two-toned underpainting what I'm coming in with. So I'm going to use possibly my value. I'm going to go in with a value set at 6. I just want it to be a little bit darker. I'm going to use that medium. Kind of thin out the paint. And also the medium slows down the drying process just a bit. So this is what I have so far. So I want to come in with my brush. I have a flat brush, a bright, really it's a bright. And then I want to block out my shadow mask. I'm going to leave a little bit of, and I'm going to wipe it out because I don't want my lines to disappear. But I want to block this out. I want this paint to be a little bit thinner than what I got it. And I'm trying to move a bit fast because I know acrylic paint dries fairly quick. Although we got that medium in there, it's still going to dry fairly quick. So I want my paint to be thin. And I'm wiping off my brush with my towel because I want to thin out this paint just a little bit more. I feel like it's still too thick. So I have that separated. Now I want to come in and get this background kind of blocked in really fast. Just a little bit of water to this because I really just want to get it in very quickly. Just block it all in. Get rid of some of that gray. And you can mix your medium with some of that water if you want to spread out just a little bit of that gray paint. Just extend it out. So once again, I'm working with thin paint. So we're thinking about fat overlaying. So that means thin layers first, and then we move into thicker layers of paint. So now I have a clear separation of what's in the light mask and what's in the dark mask. So this is my light mask here, this is my dark mask here that's connected to that shadow as well. So you want to have that separation in first. This is the first thing you do. Alright, so I'm trying to clean out my paint out of my brush. Once again, you don't want that paint to dry. I want to clean out my palette just a bit. So I'm just adding some water to my palette and spritzing it just so I can wipe it down. I was actually trained to clean my palette and keep it clean. I used to have teachers, professors, when I first started painting at LCAD, and I used to have professors, although they were amazing professors, and I understand why they came at us kind of hard because they were just training us. But I used to have professors, they used to say, you know what, if your palette is messy or dirty, I would not come around and help you. And so I needed help. So I made sure my palette was clean all the time. That way I got the help that I needed. So it's just something that I normally do. I clean off my palette as I go. So it tends to take a little bit more time for me. Alright. So I'm also going to spray down. Make sure my paint is still wet. Cleaning off my brush. So now that I have this clear separation, I just wet my brush, and now I'm wiping that water off. So now that I have that clear separation, I want to go in and start to put in my darker values. So I always start in my darks, and it could just be on my oil painter, and that's just how I was trained. But really I do that for even if I'm using watercolors, gouache. I always go into those darks and kind of get it out. But with watercolors, you gotta start light to dark, so it's a little bit different of changing your brain around. But you know, I always start with the darks first. I want to get a little bit of that medium back on my palette. Squeezing out very slowly. Get in there. Alright. So we already know on our handout that we have a value 9. We have values 8, we have values 7 and 7. So now that we got we know where our light is coming from this angle, we have our separation is there. Now I want to come in and I kind of want to get that value 9, which is basically black. I want to get that down. So I know it's going to be in the pit area, so that's where the table and the object meets. So I'm still working with thin paint. Just want to get these values placed. So I have that there, and then I want to come in. I'm going to come in with a little bit of the value 8. And I'm blending as I go. So remember, we don't have a lot of time for blending because it dries fairly quickly. So I'm gonna use that value 8 to kind of spread out. So this is why it's a good thing to already have your colors mixed, because I don't have to really do much mixing. It's already there for me. Spread it out just a little bit more. I don't want to come in with too hard of an edge. Try my best to soften it if I can. And I'm kind of just using a dry brush right now. And I'm just kind of lightly scumbling over it. So now I can come in some more with that gray. That value. And I want to come in a little bit more. With that 9. So I'm using a round brush. I like using rounds because it's just easier for me to blend with them. I don't know why. That's just me. I like them a lot for that reason. And I like the fact that, you know, most people don't really use them. So they're constantly in stock and easy to buy. But I love rounds. So I'm just going and just blending this stuff out as much as I can. And I'm allowing some of my brush work to show. I'm okay with that. Alright, so I'm gonna stop fiddling with it and I'm just gonna move on. I want to soften my edge again. I'm just kind of scumbling it over. And then, of course, we know that at the pit, it's dark, and then we want to move into a value 7. Trying to soften my edge some more. I don't want to have hard edges. When you're painting the sphere, the edges that when that cast shadow moves away, those edges get softer and softer and more fuzzy. And that's what you're trying to go for. You don't want to have these very hard edges, because it's going to look more like a black hole type thing happening. And we're trying to say, okay, this isn't a black hole, it's just cast shadow that's happening. Just kind of going in the buzz this out just a bit more. That edge to soften. Using a little bit of a dry brush. And I can fiddle with this some more when I get the table ground in. So now we have our cast shadow in for right now. Still kind of worked with some thin paint that's there. So now that I have that, I can come in into the reflected light, and I'm gonna use my value 7 for the reflected light. So I know you guys can't see what I'm mixing, but I do want to show my string. So I have a string of values that are happening. Starting with that black, I have black 9s, 8s, 7s in that string. So our reflected light needs to be darker than our midtones. I'm just going to get in. I'm going to break up some of this edge. And normally our reflected light is a little egg shape in the center. Now that I have that, I'm going to come back into my value 8. Try to start getting in my core shadow. So we have reflected light, I need my core. And if I need to get any darker, I would definitely do that. I may have to get a little darker. So I'm just trying to blend in my edge for my my reflected light. Trying to soften what I can for right now. I'll go back into it. I'm just trying to clean off my brush. Get a little softer edge in here. So remember, you want to think about your edges. Don't want to come in with some harsh edges. And I'm okay if they start to disappear. I'm fine with that. But I'd rather them be soft and hard in some areas, like we're dealing with a sphere. So I have to also come in with, I'm going to come in with a little bit of a darker gray for that. A lovely core. The core. So my paint is still fairly thin. Just trying to blend out. So I still want to have that gradation there. Kind of pushing and pulling this edge right now. Come in just a little bit darker in that area. Definitely don't want it to be black. Just want that pit to be dark. So we have our shadow edge that's here. Just trying to go over and darken some more, just a little bit more. I don't want it to affect my reflector light. So my reflector light is really here. So I can get this shadow area here darker. And I gotta move fast. I can feel the paint getting tacky, so that means it's drying. Alright guys, so down here just a bit, clean up some of my edges. Not all of them, because I still have some lost edges and things happening. I don't want it to be too sharp. Alright, so now we have our value 7, 8, a little bit of a 6 as well, because we want that that core to read dark. Maybe reading a little too dark on the camera than what I'm saying. So now I'm gonna go in with, I'm gonna come in with a value 6. value 6. And I'm gonna push and pull with it because I need it to mix in with my dark. Blend in, that's what I'm trying to do. Trying to blend it all together. I have it blended in. So the one thing about our shadow edge is there's going to be areas where you're going to have a hard edge, softer edge. It really just depends on what we're looking at. So I do know for my color theory students, we're doing this from imagination. That's what we're doing it from. I don't have anything in front of me. I'm just working off of light logic, rules, and values. That's all I'm working off of. And I might lighten this core up because on camera it's reading fairly dark. I am not a fan of that. I'm gonna lighten it in some areas. I'll let it be dark in some areas. I gotta hurry up because I feel the paint getting tacky. That means it's drying. Kicked it down just a bit because I personally feel like it was too dark. It was true dark. I don't want it that dark. Alright, so now we're moving into our light mask. Yay! So we're going to be dealing with values of 1 through 5. We just dealt with values of what, 5? Actually 6 through 9. I haven't even gotten to my 5 yet. So now I'm going to move into my 5s. I'm just going to just took a little bit of paint off of my brush. Just kind of blending these edges together right now. I lost a little bit of my core. Just gonna paint it back in. It's still wet, so I could do that. Although it's feeling tacky. And what I mean by tacky, it just means that the paint is starting to dry. It's not as a smooth, it's not as a smooth application. It's not that smooth right now. So I gotta work fairly fast just to get it done. So I'm bringing in that 5 that's here. edge a bit. Alright, so next I'm going to move into value 4. I'm cleaning out my brush in between. And I'm going to move into that's 4. Now I'm in 3. So you can see I'm getting lighter and lighter. And I'm still thinking about the form and wrapping around the form when I'm painting. So now I'm going to go into value 2. And I might go a little bit darker on these edges. So I might swim into my value 3 again. Over too much, just wiping it off just a bit in the area. So I want, if my light is coming this way, I want to make sure my highlight's in the right area. Let's go. coming in trying to blend out this page just a bit. And another thing, because acrylic dries a lot darker than what mixed. So another reason I'm trying to come in and lighten up this core just a bit. I just feel like it's too dark. A bit lighter. So you guys, I'm getting quiet because I'm trying to pay attention. I am really concentrating. Alright. Try and get in some darker areas in this core. Just don't want to go too dark. But I want my core to shine. So I'm not too worried about my edges over here, because remember, I still gotta do that background and get that background in. softening my brush strokes just a bit. Filling stuff. I can feel his paint drying fast. Feel it drying very fast. I do want this edge to be a little bit darker than I have it. Alright, so I'm going to go back into my number 2 and 3. Alright, so now I have that. I'm going to come in just a little bit more with my number 2. So I'm trying to leave a little spot for my highlights, because that is going to be my 1. Trying to come in and blend it out just a bit. Coming in with some heavy pink in the highlight. I also wanted to kind of blend out just a little bit around it. So I'm pushing and pulling between value 2 and also 1. also still think about form. Oops, that is dark. The sphere is coming to life. Alright. Got my light mask, my dark mask, my cast shadow. Now I gotta get in my background. I'm cleaning out my brush right now. Trying to get my background brush in. Alright, so I am gonna come back and get my bright brush, which is the short flat. So I want to get the background in. So when I think about the background, I might come in with a round brush as well. I'm trying to debate if I want to do that or not. But if I do it, it's just because I'm trying to blend and get some gradation happening. Probably should wet this. So if I do it, you might see me switch over to my round brush here. I'm just trying to get it wet because I know it's fairly dry right now. So I want to think about simultaneous contrast. So I want to think about a little bit dark on this side to make this look lighter than what it is. I also want to think about a little bit lighter on that side because I want this to be darker and just push with that. So I'm going to come in with possibly my 8. I'm not going too dark. I might blend it with a 7 just a bit. Fix my edges. I know right now my sphere is looking weird. Very weird. It's all wobbly. Alright, I'm not gonna go too far over because I want some dark on that area. So I kind of want to come in and I'm gonna try and dry brush this again because I just want to blend out some of this edge just a little bit. Then I'm gonna paint that edge in. I'm gonna play with these edges. I want to have hard edges. We don't want that. No, we don't. Not at all. Hey guys, if my camera is shaking, it's because my head is hitting it. So I apologize for that. So I'm pushing paint into my background and blending it with that background color or background value. So it's giving me an edge, but I just don't want my edge to be extremely just a hard, sharp edge. We're dealing with a sphere, and it's soft around the edges, and that's what we're trying to get. Trying to get that softness to happen. Alright, so I got that in. Now I'm gonna get just a brush. As you can see, I got like 2 brushes in my hand. Well, the other one's right there. When you become an artist, you start to look like, normally it'll be a ton of different brushes in your hand, but that's what's happening. I actually need to get the paint out of these before they start to sit. So on this side, I'm going to get a little bit lighter. So I'm probably going to go into possibly my 4. And I kind of want to do just a little bit of a gradation that's there. I did not blend these out good. Mix a bit on this panel. I am not getting the value that I want. Trying to get a little bit of a gradation in. I'm blending with my brush. Just a little darker on this side. Alright, so now we got the sphere in, we got our background in, we want to get our table ground in. We need clean water. My water is so gray. It's horrible. But I have to get this done. I'm under a time limit. I cannot go get water. I need to bring a cup or bottle of water in. So when we're doing a table ground, you want to think of you really want to think of darker values in the background, not a value 9, but you're probably gonna go into like 5s or 6, and then you want to move up to lighter areas around where the light is actually shining from this area. So I'm just gonna come in with my value 2 and 3. I'm just gonna kind of mix them together. I'm just gonna come in with possibly a value 4 and 5. Just gonna kind of blend that out just a bit. I'm still gonna come back in with a little bit of a lighter gray value. We'll come in with a sharper edge here. Want this to be fairly sharp. I'm just trying to blend some of these brush strokes together. Value 5 in on this side. And with a bit of a value 2. So, and value 5 just a bit. Probably gonna move into 4s and 3s. I really want to, and probably just more Scumbling than anything, but I don't want these edges to be harsh. I know they're dry, so I can't really go in and blend them because they're completely dry. But I'm just going to scumble over them. What I mean by scumbling, normally you scumble with a dry brush. My brush is not quite dry, but I'm just scumbling a little bit of paint over the surface because I just really I want this to feel very soft and not hard, not a hard edge, because normally there's no hard edges there because that shadow gets lighter as it moves away and gets softer as it moves away. I can come in with just lost my train of thought, you guys. Alright. So I'm gonna come in and get a little bit darker in the background so we can say that, oh, this is that little bit of, but I need to be lighter than what's happening. I don't need to go that dark. Probably use a 5. Oh, my brush is under my thing. Come in and kind of blend these edges together. Just using a dry brush again. Just want to kind of soften the edge just a bit. Softening and putting it back in, take it out. Alright. And I need to make sure this part is right on me. Just get it. That's fine, I'll just paint over it. Tiny little controller here. I got it. Ooh. Alright, guys. So, I really want to soften this just a little bit more. If I can, because I still feel like they're very hard edges that are here. And I think what I'm going to do my best to blend it out. So I need to go back to a whole pedal of water. Okay. Alright, guys. So this is your gradation project. So this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna do a step sphere, and you also gonna do a gradation sphere. And you guys, just like I just said, I did this all without having anything in front of me. Yep, I did. So this is what you're going to do. You're using your light logic principles knowledge, as well as you're going to use your value distribution knowledge to get this down. Kind of want to get it softer image here. There we go. Don't do like me and start fiddling. Just be done when you're done. Alright, I just felt like that was too harsh. Yes. Alright, I'm gonna walk away from the paint injury. Yes, walk away. Walk away from it. Alright, guys, so this is your sphere that's here that you're going to do. In this video, watch it as many times if you need to, just to kind of get an idea for what you're going to do. Also, you guys, once you're done, make sure you clean your brushes. That's very, very important. And I think that's it. So I hope this helps. It helped you through your homework project, and I will see you guys in the next video or the next clip, whichever one comes first. So have a nice night, and bye.